I left early, gear packed tight. Tent, sleeping bag, some food, and a knife, just in case. The ranger at the station gave me a look when I checked in. Going alone, he asked. I said yeah. He just nodded, slow, then said, stick to marked sites, and if you see someone acting strange, paddle on. We've had reports. Reports of what? I asked. He just said, you don't want to know, and walked off. I should have listened. On the water. Calm music fades in, drone shots of winding river. The first day was perfect. Sun on the water, trees hanging low like green curtains, deer on the banks. For hours, I didn't see a soul. That's what I came for. Just me, the paddle, the current. First encounter. Camera shows a distant kayak gaining on the narrator. Then, I noticed another kayak behind me. At first, way back. But closing in. By midday, he caught up. He was in a beat-up red kayak. Clothes old and dirty. Wide brim hat hiding his eyes. He smiled, thin, like he'd forgotten how. Nice day for it, he said. Yep, I replied, trying to sound casual. He paddled closer. Mind if I tag along? Gets lonely out here. Actually. I prefer solo, I said. He stared a beat too long, then smiled again. Suit yourself. Safer with company, though. You never know who's out here. The way he said it chilled me. I dug my paddle deep and moved on. Uneasy evening. Visual, campsite on a high bank, sunset turning the river orange. By evening, I found a small campsite. Marked on my map. Pulled the kayak high, set up fast. Fire crackled, fish sizzling. I kept replaying that smile in my head. Who was he? Why follow me? I doused the fire early, crawled into my tent, zipped it tight. Knife close. That ranger's warning echoed, if you see someone acting odd, paddle on. The voice at midnight. Audio shifts, crickets, river sounds, then, a voice in the dark. Sometime after midnight, I heard it. A splash. Then, footsteps on sand. Then a voice. Low, calm, almost friendly. Hey there. I saw your spot. My heart slammed. It was him. I figured I'd check in, he said. Make sure you're okay. I stayed silent, gripping the knife so hard my fingers ached. Then. You sure you're okay? It's cold out here. I could use some warmth. I forced my voice steady, leave. Now. A pause. Then a laugh, soft, wrong. Feisty. I like that. Footsteps circled the tent. Slow. Deliberate. Then the zipper twitched. Just a little. Open up. Let's be friendly. No. I slashed the air inside so he'd hear the blade cut. He chuckled again. Then silence. Minutes crawled. An hour. I peeked through the flap, nothing. But I didn't sleep. Not 1 second. Scene 6, Dawn Escape. Visual, shaky POV throwing gear in the kayak, pale dawn light. At first light, I packed in a panic. Tossed gear, shoved off hard. The river carried me fast. But every bend, I checked behind. Nothing. Until mid-morning. I rounded a curve, and froze. There he was. Standing on the bank. How the hell did he get ahead? He just waved. Morning, he called, like we were old friends. I didn't wave back. I paddled till my arms burned. Final scene, the truth. Visual, car speeding down a dirt road, radio chatter faint in the background. I hit the takeout, dragged my kayak up, ran for the ranger station. Told them everything. The ranger didn't look surprised. He just radioed it in. We've had complaints, he said. Guy matching that description. Slips away every time. Last camper that reported him never came back. That night, I searched online. Turns out there's a man out there, wandering rivers, watching solo campers. People vanish. Tents left intact. They call him the Riverman. And sometimes, I still hear that laugh when the house is quiet. You ever think about how quiet nature really is? People say it's peaceful, but out there, In the deep woods or on a lonely river, the quiet feels different. Feels like something listening. Last summer, I learned that the hard way. I'd had a rough year. Burned out, angry at everything, work, traffic, people. So I decided to get away. Just me, my kayak, and the river. A 3-day solo trip through a national forest down south. No phone calls, no emails, hell, no signal at all. Just water and trees. I packed light, tent, sleeping bag, some dehydrated meals, a knife, and an emergency beacon. The ranger at the station raised an eyebrow when he saw my permit. Going alone? Yeah, I said. He looked me dead in the eye. Stick to marked camps. And if you see anyone acting strange, paddle on. Don't stop. I laughed it off. Shouldn't have. The first day was perfect. The river was calm, the sky so blue it hurt. I even saw a deer drinking from the bank. Around noon, I noticed another kayak behind me, a beat-up red one. At first, I thought nothing of it. Rivers bring people together. But by mid-afternoon, he was still there. Always just far enough back. When I slowed, he slowed. When I sped up, so did he. Finally, he called out, voice carrying over the water. Nice day for it. Sure is, I said. He paddled closer, close enough for me to see his face. Scruffy beard, faded clothes, eyes like he hadn't slept in days. You mind if I tag along? Gets lonely out here. I'm good, I said. Prefer going solo. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Suit yourself. But you never know who you'll meet out here. Something in the way he said that chilled me. By dusk, I found a marked site on a high bank, hidden behind trees. Pulled my kayak up, tied it off, set up camp. Cooked a little rice over the fire. The woods were still, just insects humming. Then, splashing downstream. Slow, deliberate. Like a paddle dipping in water. I killed the fire, heart thudding. The sound stopped. Maybe a fish, I told myself. Yeah, a fish. I zipped into my tent, knife in hand, tried to sleep. Around midnight, a voice cut through the dark. Hey there. I froze. It was him. I saw your spot, he said, like we were friends. Figured I'd check in. Make sure you're okay. I'm fine, I called back, trying to sound calm. Keep moving. Silence. Then, footsteps circling my tent. Slow. Deliberate. You sure? It's cold out here. I could use some warmth. Leave, I said, louder. He chuckled low, soft, almost playful. No need to be rude. I just want to talk about the river. About you being out here all alone. The zipper tugged. I slashed the knife through the air inside, hoping the sound scared him. He laughed again, whispering. Feisty. I like that. Then, silence. I didn't sleep. Sat there clutching the knife, every nerve screaming. Finally, dawn broke. I packed in under 5 minutes, gear half stuffed, dragged the kayak to the water. The current carried me fast. I paddled harder anyway, checking behind me every few strokes. Hours later, I thought I'd lost him, until I rounded a bend. He was there. Standing on the bank like he'd been waiting all night. How'd he get ahead? Must have cut through the woods. He raised a hand, smiling that dead smile. Morning. Safe travels. I didn't answer. Just dug my paddle deep, pulling hard until the trees swallowed him from view. When I finally reached the takeout point, my legs shook so bad I could barely stand. A ranger was there. I told him everything. He didn't look surprised. We've had reports, he said. Guy in a red kayak. Never does anything to get arrested. Just stalks. I drove home without looking back. That night, I searched online. Found stories. A drifter haunting rivers. Sometimes, campers go missing. Sometimes all they find is an empty tent. Closing 30 seconds. I haven't gone solo since. People talk about bears, storms, getting lost. But no one warns you about the real predators. The ones who smile. The ones who watch. So if you ever hear a paddle dipping behind you and a voice saying, "Nice day for it," don't answer. Just keep moving. The camera fades in on a calm lake, the early morning mist curling over still water. A lone kayak slices through the surface. A man's voice begins. After a brutal year, I needed peace. Just me, my kayak, and the boundary waters of Minnesota. No phones. No noise. Just silence. The screen shows him loading gear, tent, sleeping bag, knife, dry food. He smiles at the camera. I thought I'd find myself out there. But I found something else instead. Hook hits, ominous tone. The camera tracks a serene paddle through narrow channels, the sound of loons echoing. Then, from the opposite direction, a canoe glides into view. He looked like a man from another time, old flannel shirt, wide brim hat, beard like he hadn't seen a mirror in months. Dialogue plays out. Me, hey. Great day, huh? Him, you heading for that campsite? Me, yeah, looks nice. Him, that's my spot. Been mine since I was a kid. My lake. The voice softens but stays chilling. He said it like a fact. Then he added, if I find someone on my site, I gotta do something about it. Got a gun for that. The camera zooms on the pistol at his hip. The sound drops to heartbeat thumps. I laughed. But inside, something cold crawled up my spine. He paddles away fast. Later, the campsite looks perfect, fire ring, pine trees, the lake glowing orange at sunset. He sets up camp. I started to relax, until two men showed up in a dented canoe. No tents. No life jackets. Just a wooden crate with chains rattling inside, and an axe wedged in the side. Dialogue. Me, sorry, site's taken. Them, come on, man. Just for one night. He grips his paddle like a weapon. His tone firm. They stare. Long pause. Then they push off, muttering, your loss. I watched them disappear around the bend, but I knew they'd be back. The music tightens, low strings. Quick cuts, darkness falling, fire burning low, him zipping the tent. I lay in my sleeping bag, knife in hand. The woods were alive with sound, too alive. SFX, twigs snapping. Rustling. Then, laughter. Low. Two voices. Thought you might change your mind, one of them said, just beyond the firelight. He yells, leave. I'm armed. Footsteps retreat. A splash. Silence. I didn't sleep. Every gust of wind sounded like footsteps. Every ripple, like a paddle. Then, a brush against the tent wall. He bolts upright. Breath shaking. Peeks outside. Nothing. But near the kayak. A rock with words scratched in dirt. Our site. Next time. At first light, I ran. Packed in minutes. No breakfast. No coffee. Just gone. The camera shows frantic paddling through misty water. His voice speeds up with fear. Every bend I thought I'd see them. Or him. The men with the gun. Finally, the entry point appears. Relief floods his voice. I hit shore, tossed the kayak in the truck, and drove without looking back. At home, he searches the news. Headlines flash on screen. Campers threatened in boundary waters. Chains, axes, and vanishing hikers. Armed squatters claiming sites. One name kept popping up, a drifter, mid-40s, beard, camo clothes. Last seen near the lake. They think he's connected to disappearances. Close-up of his face in the dark, voice low, haunted. I always loved the silence of the woods. But that silence hides voices, the kind you don't want to hear. If you ever go out there alone, don't. Because some people never leave. The screen fades to black. Text appears. Based on true events. Stay safe in the wild. I'd been planning that solo trip for months. After a brutal year at work, I needed peace, just me, my kayak, and the quiet wilderness of Minnesota's boundary waters. No emails, no buzzing phone, no noise. Just still water and endless trees. I launched early that morning. The lake was glass smooth, pine trees mirrored on the surface. Loons called in the distance. I paddled for hours, crossing small lakes and portaging over rocky trails. The air smelled clean, untouched. This was what I wanted. By midday, I reached a bigger lake dotted with islands. My map showed a campsite on one of them. Perfect. I aimed for it, dreaming of coffee by the fire. That's when I saw him. An old aluminum canoe, heavy with gear, moving slow across the water. The guy paddling it looked rugged. Scruffy beard, faded flannel shirt, wide brim hat. He drifted closer when I waved. "Hey," I called. "Nice day, huh?" "Not bad," he rasped, like someone who hadn't spoken in days. His eyes swept over me, then the island I was heading toward. "You planning on camping there?" he asked. "Yeah," I said, smiling. "Looks like a good spot." His face stayed blank. "That's my site. Been coming here since I was a kid." "My lake, really?" I chuckled awkwardly. "First come, first served, right? Plenty of islands around." He didn't laugh. Just stared. Then, real calm, he said, "If I ever find someone on my site, I'd have to do something about it." "Got a gun for that?" My smile froze. I glanced down, and sure enough, a holster rode his hip. "Ah, okay. Well, safe travels," I muttered and dipped my paddle hard, moving away fast. My shoulders burned from how hard I paddled. The guy just sat there watching me. I reached the island, heart still thumping. Pulled the kayak ashore, pitched my tent quick, tried to shake it off. He was probably bluffing, right? Just a loner, talking tough. Hours passed. I gathered firewood, cooked a quick meal, tried to enjoy the view. But I kept checking the tree line. The lake was calm. No sign of his canoe. Good. Then, near sunset, another canoe approached. 2 men this time, both in their 40s. Beat-up rental, no life jackets. Weirdest part? No camping gear, just a wooden crate with chains rattling inside, and an axe wedged on the side. They nosed right onto my shore. "Sorry, man," the tall one said, stepping out like he owned the place. "Everywhere else is full. Mind if we crash here tonight?" I gripped my paddle like a weapon. "Actually, yeah, I mind. 1 group per site. Rules." The short one smirked, dragging the crate closer. "Come on. Just one night. Don't make this hard." My gut screamed danger. "Find another spot. Now." They stared for a beat too long. Then the tall one sneered. "Fine. Your loss." They shoved off, muttering curses that carried across the water. I kept the fire small after that. Didn't want to be seen. By midnight, I was in my tent, knife in hand, listening to crickets. For a while, nothing. Then, a twig snapped. "Close. Too close." "Who's there?" I called, voice tight. Silence. Then a low chuckle, 20 feet away. "Just checking on you," a voice said. The tall one. "Leave," I shouted. "I'm armed." Another laugh. 2 voices this time. "Armed, huh? Like that other guy." Branches cracked as they moved off. Then, a splash. Their canoe pushing off. I sat frozen, every nerve screaming. Didn't sleep a second. At 3 a.m., more footsteps. Something brushed the tent wall. I bolted upright, heart in my throat. Peeked through the flap with my flashlight, nothing but shadows. But near my kayak, a rock. On it, scratched words, "Our spot next time." That was it. At first light, I packed like a madman, shoving gear into bags, launching the kayak without breakfast. Paddled until my arms went numb. Didn't stop until the entry point came into view. Later, back home, I searched online. Turns out there've been stories for years, loners with guns claiming islands, drifters with chains and axes, people vanishing without a trace. I haven't gone solo since. The water's beautiful, sure. But out there, miles from anyone, you realize how easy it is for things to go very, very wrong. And sometimes, the scariest thing in the wild isn't the animals. Narrator calm, nostalgic. Last summer, I thought I needed a break from everything. No phone calls, no deadlines, just me, a kayak, and the wild. They call the boundary waters untouched, and they're right. It's miles of lakes and forest, where the silence feels endless. Cut to, hands loading a kayak, tent, sleeping bag, small stove. Then pushing off into glassy water. Narrator soft chuckle. I packed light. Tent, sleeping bag, a few meals, and my old folding knife, just in case. Out there, you don't get cell service. That was part of the appeal. Slow shots of paddling across calm water. Loons calling. For the first few hours, it was perfect. Blue sky, no wind, just the dip of my paddle and loons diving for fish. I crossed 2 small lakes, did a short portage over rocky ground, and finally aimed for a little island I'd seen on my map. Camera pans to a pine-fringed island. Calm music. That's when I saw him. Cut to, distant figure in an old aluminum canoe, moving slow, loaded with gear. He looked like he'd been out there for weeks, scruffy beard, faded flannel, wide brim hat. We met near the island. Me calling out, friendly. Hey. Water treating you okay? Him raspy voice, dead serious. Not bad. You heading to that spot? Narrator. He nodded at the island. I said yeah, thinking he was just making conversation. Close shot on his face, expression blank, eyes cold. Him. That's my site. Been coming here since I was a kid. My lake. Narrator. I laughed, thought he was joking. Me. Well, first come, first served, right? Plenty of spots out here. Narrator. He didn't laugh. Just stared. Then he said. Him slow, flat. If I ever find someone on my site, I'd have to do something about it. Got a gun for that. Cut to, my hand tightening on the paddle. Quick shot of a handgun in a worn leather holster on his hip. Narrator. My laugh died right there. I paddled hard, putting water between us. Didn't look back. Music shifts darker. Cut to, camp being set up on the island. By evening, I'd settled in. Fire going, coffee steaming, the lake like glass. I started to relax, until another canoe appeared. 2 men this time, rough looking. No life jackets. A wooden crate with chains rattling inside. An axe wedged in the canoe. No tents. No food. They pulled up like they owned the place. Tall guy stepping out. Spots taken. We'll share. Narrator firm voice. Rules say 1 group per site. You'll find another. Quick cuts, their eyes narrowing, hands gripping the canoe. Short guy grinning. Don't make this hard. Just 1 night. Narrator. Something about them, the crate, the axe. No fishing rods. No camping gear. My gut screamed wrong. Me louder, gripping paddle like a weapon. I said no. Leave. Tense pause. Then they shove off, muttering curses. The last words drift across the water, hope he freezes tonight. Night falls. The fire dies low. Inside the tent, close up on my hand gripping a knife. Narrator low, tense. Around midnight, I heard it, footsteps in the woods. Slow. Heavy. Then a voice. Voice outside taunting. Thought you might change your mind about sharing. Camera, shadows moving. A low laugh from 2 voices. Me shouting. Get out of here. I'm armed. Narrator. Branches snapped. A splash, maybe their canoe. I didn't sleep. Every sound was a threat. Time lapse of moonlight shifting across the tent. Then, rustling again. Fabric brushing. A rock placed outside the kayak with a message scratched in the dirt, our sight next time. By dawn, I was gone. Didn't even eat. Just paddled hard, scanning every bend. Montage, frantic paddling, paranoid glances over the shoulder. Finally, reaching the entry point. Collapsing on shore, shaking hands. Back home, I checked the forums. Turns out, I wasn't the first. Stories of campers harassed, sites claimed by men with guns. A few even vanished, tents left standing, gear untouched. Cut to, a map of the area, headlines flashing, unsolved missing persons in boundary waters. Narrator voice drops to a whisper. People always think the woods are safe. That the real dangers are bears or wolves. But out there, the scariest thing you'll meet walks on 2 legs. They say the wilderness clears your mind. Out there, no noise, no deadlines, just you and the water. That's what I thought last summer when I packed my kayak and headed to the boundary waters in northern Minnesota. I'd heard it was paradise, remote lakes, pine forests, loons calling at dawn. I needed that peace, but I didn't know peace had a price. I launched early, the water like glass under the morning sun. Just me, my kayak, and gear packed tight, tent, sleeping bag, food, a little stove, and my folding knife for odd jobs. No phone signal out there, but that was part of the appeal. Hours passed easy. I crossed 2 small lakes, portaged over rocky ground, and by noon, I reached a bigger lake with scattered islands. I aimed for a campsite I'd marked on my map, tucked in a quiet bay, ringed with pines. Perfect. As I paddled toward it, I spotted another boat, a lone guy in an old aluminum canoe. He was older, gray beard, wide brim hat, flannel shirt faded like it had seen decades of sun. He drifted closer when I waved. "Nice day," I called. "Not bad," he rasped, voice rough like he hadn't spoken in days. "You heading to that island?" he asked, chin lifting toward the side I had my eye on. "Yeah, looks like a good one," I said. That's when his face went hard. "That's my spot. Been mine since I was a kid." "My lake, really?" I laughed a little, thought he was joking. "Well, first come, first served, right? Plenty of space out here." He didn't laugh. Just stared. "If I ever find someone on my site," he said slow, "I'd have to do something about it." "Got a gun for that?" My smile died. Sure enough, there was a big holster on his hip. Safe travels," I muttered, and dug my paddle deep. My arms burned as I put distance between us. I told myself he was just a grumpy old-timer talking big. Still, my heart didn't slow until his canoe was a speck behind me. The site was nice, flat ground for the tent, a fire ring, and a view across the lake. I pitched camp, gathered wood, and made a small fire as the sun dipped. Ate a sandwich sitting on a log, watching the sky turn orange. No sign of the old guy. Good. I wandered a short trail to a rocky point, listened to the water lap the shore. Peaceful, but that conversation stuck like a splinter in my mind. By dusk, I had a little fire going, boiling water for coffee. That's when I saw them, 2 men in a beat-up rental canoe heading straight for my island. I stood, waved. "Sight's taken," I called. They didn't slow. One was tall with a shaved head, the other shorter with tattooed arms. No life jackets. No real camping gear either, just a crate with chains rattling inside and an axe wedged on the side. Beer cans rolling in the bottom. The tall one stepped out like he owned the place. "We need to camp here," he said flat. "Couldn't find anything else open. You mind sharing?" "Actually, yeah," I said, forcing a smile. 1 group per site. Saw open spots back that way. The short one snorted, dropped the crate on shore. Chains clinked loud. "Come on, man. Just for tonight." My pulse spiked. No tents. No sleeping bags. No fishing rods. What were they doing out here? "No, really," I said, gripping my paddle like a staff. "Please find another spot." The tall one crossed his arms. "You gonna make this hard?" "Leave," I said firm. They exchanged a look. The short one muttered something ugly. "Fine. Your loss." They shoved off, paddling away slow, cursing loud enough for me to hear. "Hope you freeze tonight." I watched until they disappeared. My hands shook as I fed the fire. I killed it early after that, crawled into the tent, knife in hand. Sleep didn't come easy. Crickets. Water lapping. Then, a snap of a twig behind the tent. I froze. Another snap, closer. Too heavy for a raccoon. Rustling like boots through brush. "Who's there?" I whispered, then louder, "Hey." Silence. Then, a low chuckle. Maybe 20 feet away. "Just checking on you," a voice called. "Thought you might change your mind about sharing." My skin crawled. The tall one. Had they been watching me this whole time? "Get out of here," I yelled. "I'm armed." Laughter. 2 voices this time. Armed like that old guy with his gun. Branches cracked as they moved off, then the splash of a canoe. I didn't sleep a second. Every sound, the wind, a fish jumping, felt like them circling back. Around 3 a.m., more rustling. Closer this time. Something brushed the tent wall. I bolted upright, knife in a white knuckle grip. Back off. Footsteps retreated, but when I peeked out with my flashlight, I saw it, a rock near my kayak with a message scratched in dirt. Our spot next time. Panic hit hard. I waited for dawn, heart racing every minute. First light, I packed fast. Skipped breakfast. Shoved everything in the kayak and paddled like hell, glancing back every few strokes. Hours later, I hit the entry point, loaded the car, drove straight home. That night, I searched online. Turns out there were reports, odd folks in those woods. Poachers. Drifters. Even escaped convicts hiding out. One story matched too close, chains for trapping illegally. And the old guy. He wasn't just bluffing. Another camper posted about a bearded man threatening them over a site, same holster, same lake. I haven't gone solo since. The water's beautiful, sure, but out there alone, you learn fast, the scariest thing in the wild isn't the bears. It's people. Last summer, after a brutal year at work, I needed to clear my head. No screens, no noise, just me, my kayak, and a few days in the wilderness. The boundary waters in Minnesota seemed perfect. Remote lakes, pine forests, silence. I packed light, tent, sleeping bag, some dehydrated meals, a little stove. And my knife. Not for defense, at least that's what I thought then. Pause, shift in tone, a hint of tension. No cell signal out there, but honestly. That was the point. Sound, water lapping, soft breeze. Narrator. I launched early morning, sliding into calm water that mirrored the sky. Hours passed like minutes, just the rhythm of the paddle, loons calling in the distance. By midday, I reached a larger lake. My map showed an island with a marked campsite. Secluded. Perfect. As I approached, I spotted another paddler, an older guy in a beat-up aluminum canoe. Scruffy beard, flannel shirt, wide brim hat. We crossed paths near the island. Dialogue, voiceover in character. Hey. Beautiful day out here, I called. He stopped paddling, let his canoe drift. Not bad, he said, voice rough, like he hadn't spoken in days. Then he nodded toward the island. You heading there? Yeah, looks like a nice spot, I replied. That's when his eyes narrowed. That's my site. Been mine for years. My lake, really? Beat. Narrator chuckles nervously. I laughed, thinking he was joking. First come, first served, right? Plenty of other spots. Shift in tone, uneasy, quiet. He didn't smile. Just stared. Then said something I'll never forget. If I ever find someone on my site, I'd have to do something about it. Got a gun for that. Quick sound cue, subtle heartbeat. My laugh died instantly. My eyes flicked to his waist. Sure enough, a handgun in a holster. Safe travels, I muttered, digging my paddle deep, putting distance between us. Scene transition, fire crackling, nature sounds soft. Narrator. The campsite was gorgeous, flat ground, fire ring, pines all around. But his words stuck like splinters in my head. Who says that to a stranger? Evening came. I built a small fire, boiled water for coffee, tried to shake it off. That's when I saw them, another canoe approaching from the far side of the lake. 2 guys this time. Mid-40s. No life jackets. No tents. Just a crate rattling with chains and an axe wedged in the side. They pulled up like they owned the place. We need to camp here, the tall one said, stepping out. Actually, it's one group per site, I replied, trying to sound firm. There are plenty of spots back that way. The short one snorted. Come on, man. Just one night. Don't make this hard. Pause, voice lower, tense. Everything about them screamed wrong. No sleeping bags, no fishing rods. Just beer cans and that crate. I tightened my grip on my paddle. I'm asking you to leave now. They exchanged a look. Then the short one muttered something under his breath. Fine. Your loss. They pushed off, but not before tossing one last line at me. Hope you freeze tonight. Beat. Fire pops loudly. Music hum low, uneasy. I added wood to the fire, hands trembling. Sound fades to crickets, soft wind. Narrator. Night fell hard. I killed the fire early, zipped up in my tent, knife in hand. For a while, nothing but the whisper of water. Then, footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. Snapping twigs behind the tent. Who's there? I whispered, then louder. Hey, I hear you. Silence. Then, a low chuckle, maybe 20 feet away. Just checking on you, a voice said. The tall one. Thought you might change your mind about sharing. My blood ran cold. Get out of here. I'm armed. I lied. Two voices laughed this time. Armed like that other guy with his gun. Relax. We're leaving. Branches cracked, footsteps faded. Then a splash. They were gone. Or so I thought. Sound, wind howling faintly now. Narrator. Hours crawled. Every sound was a threat, the trees shifting, water lapping. Then, closer. Rustling. Something brushing the tent fabric. I sat up, knife ready. No words this time, just presence. When it stopped, I unzipped the flap just enough to shine my flashlight out. Nothing, except a rock near my kayak. On it, scratched words. Our sight next time. Beat. Heartbeat sound rising. I packed at first light. Didn't eat. Didn't breathe. Just shoved everything in the kayak and paddled like hell. Narrator quieter, reflective. Back home, I searched online. Found stories, run-ins with armed squatters, drifters, even convicts hiding in those woods. People disappearing. One guy wrote about chains found at a camp. I don't know what those men wanted that night. I don't want to know. Beat. Slow music fade in. All I know is this: if you ever think about going solo out there, remember. Nature isn't the scariest thing in the wilderness. People are.
Last summer I needed a break from everything: work, traffic, noise, people. So I planned a solo trip into the boundary waters of northern Minnesota. Just me, a kayak, and days of quiet. The place sounded perfect. Remote lakes, thick pine forests, no cell signal, exactly what I wanted. I packed light, tent, sleeping bag, dehydrated meals, a small stove, and my old folding knife. That morning I slid my kayak into glassy water at sunrise. The paddle dipped smooth and silent, pulling me into stillness broken only by loon calls. Hours passed like that, just rhythm and peace. Transition, slight tension building. Around midday I reached a bigger lake dotted with islands. One had a marked campsite tucked in a quiet bay. Perfect. But as I approached, I saw another canoe coming straight at me. The guy was older, scruffy beard, faded flannel, wide brim hat. He slowed as we met. Nice day, I said. Depends, he replied. His voice sounded like gravel. You headed to that spot? He nodded toward the island. Yeah, I smiled. Looks good. He stared a beat too long, then said flat, that's my site. Been mine since I was a kid. My lake. I laughed awkwardly. Well, first come, first served, right? He didn't smile. His hand brushed the holster at his hip. If I ever find someone on my spot, he said, I deal with it. Got a gun for that. My smile died. Oh well, safe travels, I muttered and paddled hard away. My arms burned as I put distance between us. Who says that to a stranger? And why was he carrying a gun out here? I finally reached the island and set up camp. It was beautiful, pine trees whispering in the wind, water glowing orange in the sunset. For a while I let it go. Ate a sandwich, collected firewood, boiled coffee. Then 2 more men showed up. They came in a beat-up rental canoe, tattoos, no life jackets, no camping gear, just a wooden crate with chains clanking inside and an axe wedged in the hull. We need to camp here, the tall one said, stepping out. Sorry, I replied, trying to sound firm. Rules say one group per site. There are open spots back that way. He crossed his arms. Come on, man. Just for one night. I said no. They stared a long second. Then the short one smirked. Fine. Your loss. They shoved off, cursing as they drifted into the dark. I sat by the fire, heart pounding. Why chains? Why no tents? I killed the fire early and crawled into the tent, knife in hand. Tried to sleep. Didn't. Around midnight, snap. A twig. Then another. Heavy. Slow. Not an animal. Who's there? I whispered. No answer. Then a low chuckle, maybe 20 feet away. Just checking on you, a voice said. The tall one. My stomach dropped. Leave, I yelled. I'm armed. He laughed. Another voice joined in. Armed like that other guy with his gun? Branches cracked as they moved off. I lay frozen, heart slamming. Final climax. Hours crawled by. Then clothes rustle. Something brushed the tent wall. I bolted upright, knife ready. Silence. Then footsteps fading. I cracked the zipper, flashlight beam cutting the dark. Empty. But near my kayak, a rock. On it, scratched words, our spot next time. At dawn, I broke camp fast. Didn't eat. Didn't breathe until the entry point was in sight. Later, back home, I searched the news. Turns out there'd been reports men harassing solo campers, some gone missing. One story mentioned chains. That was my last solo trip. The water's beautiful, yeah. But out there, it's not the wolves or bears you should fear. It's the people.
I always loved the idea of getting away from everything, just me, my kayak, and the open water. Last summer, I finally made it happen. Packed light, tent, sleeping bag, some food, a small stove. No phone signal out there, but that was part of the plan. The Boundary Waters in Minnesota, if you've been there, you know. Remote lakes, endless pine trees, and a silence so deep you can hear your own heartbeat. I put in early that morning, sliding my kayak into glassy water. The first few hours were perfect. Loons calling, the paddle dipping smooth, a breeze cool on my face. For a while, I felt like the only person left in the world. By midday, I reached a bigger lake dotted with islands. I picked one on my map, looked tucked away, real private. But as I closed in, I saw him. An old guy in an aluminum canoe, loaded heavy, moving slow. Beard scruffy, flannel shirt faded, a hat pulled low. I waved. Nice day, huh? He just stared, then drifted closer. His voice was rough, like he hadn't spoken in days. You heading to that campsite? Yeah, looks good, I said. His eyes narrowed. That's my site. Been mine since I was a kid. I laughed, thought he was joking. First come, first served, right? His face didn't change. If I ever find someone on my spot, I'd have to do something about it. Got a gun for that. My laugh died. Sure enough, I spotted the holster on his hip. Okay. Safe travels, I said, and paddled hard until he was a speck behind me. Creepy, right? But I told myself he was just some cranky old-timer talking big. Found another island, set up camp, and tried to shake it off. Later, as I sat by the fire sipping coffee, I saw another canoe coming. 2 guys this time. Rough looking. No life jackets, no tents, nothing but an axe jammed in the side and a crate rattling with chains. They nosed up like they owned the place. We need to camp here, the tall one said. Sorry, I told them. 1 group per site. Park rules. The short one snorted. Come on, man. It's getting dark. Just one night. Can't do it, I said, gripping my paddle like a weapon. They stared at me a long second. Then the tall one muttered, fine. Your loss. They shoved off, cursing loud enough for me to hear. By sunset, I was on edge. Killed the fire early, crawled into my tent, knife in hand. Around midnight, I woke to snapping twigs. Slow footsteps circling the tent. My stomach turned to ice. "Who's there?" I called out. Silence. Then a low chuckle. "Just checking on you," a voice said. "Thought you might change your mind." It was one of the guys. "Get out of here. I'm armed." I lied. Another laugh, closer this time. Then I heard them walking away, branches cracking, a splash as they shoved off. I stayed awake, every nerve wired, listening to the wind, the water, until something brushed against the tent. Soft. Deliberate. I ripped the zipper open, flashlight blazing. Nothing but trees and shadows. Then I saw it, by my kayak, a rock with words scratched in the dirt, "Our turn next time." I didn't wait for dawn. Threw everything in the kayak and paddled like hell. Didn't stop until I hit the entry point hours later. Back home, I Googled around. Turns out there are stories, creeps in the boundary waters who stake out campsites, even rob or attack solo travelers. Some reports mention chains in crates, just like I saw. People always ask me, would you go back? Not alone. Not ever. Out there, it's beautiful, but when the sun goes down, the quiet isn't peaceful. It's full of things you can't see, and some of them are human. It started like any other trip. I'd been planning this for months, a solo paddle through the boundary waters of Minnesota. You know, remote lakes, towering pines, and the kind of silence you can't buy in the city. No phone signal. No crowds. Just peace. At least, that was the plan. I launched early that morning, sliding my kayak into water as smooth as glass. The air smelled like pine and cold stone. For hours, it was perfect, loons calling, sunlight breaking through the trees. Exactly what I needed. By midday, I reached a larger lake. My map showed a campsite tucked in a quiet bay. As I paddled toward it, I saw another canoe coming in from the opposite side. Old aluminum boat, stacked with gear. And the guy paddling it looked like he'd been out here a while, scruffy beard, faded flannel, wide brim hat. I raised a hand. "Hey. Beautiful day, huh?" He stopped paddling, let his canoe drift closer. "Not bad," he said, voice rough like gravel. Then he asked, "You heading to that site?" "Yeah," I replied, still smiling. He nodded slowly. "That's my site. Been mine since I was a kid." I chuckled nervously. "Well, first come, first served, right? Plenty of spots out here." His face didn't change. "If I ever find someone on my site, I'd have to do something about it. Got a gun for that." My laugh died right there. I glanced down. Sure enough, holster on his hip. Okay, man. Safe travels." I dipped my paddle hard, pulling away like my life depended on it. By the time I reached the campsite, my arms burned. But the place looked perfect, a flat tent spot, fire ring, and a killer view across the lake. I shook off the encounter, set up camp, and tried to relax. Later that afternoon, I was boiling water for coffee when I saw another canoe heading straight for my island. 2 guys this time. Both in their 40s, both looking wrong. No life jackets. No tents. No fishing rods. Just a beat-up canoe with a crate chained shut and an axe stuck in the side. They pulled up like they owned the place. "Sight's taken," I called out. They ignored me. One of them, tall, shaved head, stepped out, boots crunching on the gravel. "Couldn't find anywhere else. You mind sharing?" "Actually, yeah. I do." I pointed across the lake. "Saw open spots that way." The shorter one laughed under his breath. "Come on, man. It's getting dark. Just for one night." "No," I said, gripping my paddle like a weapon. "Not happening." They exchanged a look. Then the tall one smirked. "You gonna make this hard?" My pulse spiked. I held my ground. "Leave. Now." Silence. Then the short guy muttered something, shoved the crate back in the canoe. "Fine. Your loss." They pushed off, cursing loud enough for me to hear. I watched until they vanished around a point, then doused my fire. Didn't want to advertise my spot anymore. That night, I lay in my tent, knife in hand, listening. Crickets, wind in the pines, then. Snap. A twig. Close. Too close. Rustling. Footsteps. Who's there? I whispered. Then louder, I hear you. Silence. Then a low chuckle. Just checking on you, a voice said, maybe 20 feet away. My blood froze. It was one of the guys. Thought you might change your mind about sharing. Get out of here. I yelled. I'm armed. Another laugh. Armed, huh? Like that other guy with his gun. Branches cracked as footsteps retreated. Then a splash. They were gone, or pretending to be. I didn't sleep. Every sound outside made me jump. And then something brushed the side of my tent. I sat up, knife clenched, breath shallow. Rustling. Then silence. I peeked out with my flashlight. Nobody there. But on the ground. A rock. With 3 words scratched into the dirt. Our sight next time. That broke me. As soon as light touched the trees, I packed like a maniac. No breakfast. No coffee. Just threw everything in the kayak and paddled like hell. When I hit the entry point, I reported what happened. The ranger didn't look surprised. Said there'd been odd folks out there, poachers, drifters, even a fugitive once. Some campers vanished without a trace. I never went solo again. The wilderness is beautiful. But out there, where the trees hide everything, the most dangerous thing you'll meet isn't a bear. It's another human being. Last summer, after months of stress, I decided to take a solo trip into the Boundary Waters up in Minnesota. I wanted peace. Just me, my kayak, and the sound of water against the shore. No phone service, no noise, just quiet. I packed light, a small tent, sleeping bag, food, a camp stove, and my folding knife, mostly for utility. At sunrise, I slid my kayak into the glassy water. The lake looked like a sheet of silver under the morning sun. Perfect. Scene 2, First Encounter. By midday, I reached a bigger lake, aiming for a campsite on an island tucked among pines. As I approached, I saw another canoe coming from the opposite direction. The guy was older, scruffy beard, faded flannel, wide-brimmed hat. Looked like he'd been out here for weeks. I waved. Beautiful day, huh? I called. He drifted closer, voice rough, like he hadn't spoken in days. Not bad. You heading to that spot? Yeah, I said, nodding toward the campsite. His eyes narrowed. That's my spot. Been camping there since I was a kid. My lake, really? I chuckled, thinking he was joking. First come, first served, right? Plenty of sites out here. His face didn't change. If I ever find someone on my site, I'd have to do something about it. Got a gun for that. My laugh died quick. Sure enough, I saw the grip of a handgun at his waist. Okay. Well, safe travels, I said, and dipped my paddle hard. He just stared as I pulled away. Scene 3, The Island and Second Encounter. When I reached the island, I exhaled. Nice spot, fire ring, flat ground, great view. I set up camp, ate lunch, tried to shake the weird encounter. Later, I started a small fire for coffee. That's when another canoe appeared. 2 guys this time, maybe mid-40s. No life jackets, no camping gear, just a crate with chains rattling inside and an axe wedged in the side. They pulled up anyway. The tall one stepped out. We need to camp here, he said flatly. Sorry, I replied. 1 group per site. Rules. Come on, man. Just 1 night, the other said, hauling the crate onto shore. My pulse jumped. No tents, no sleeping bags. What were they doing out here? No, I said firmly, gripping my paddle like a staff. Find another spot. They stared at me. Finally, the short one muttered, fine. Your loss. They shoved off, cursing loud enough for me to hear, hope he freezes tonight. Scene 4, Nightfall and Tension. The sun bled orange across the lake. I doused my fire early, didn't want to advertise my spot. Crawled into my tent as twilight faded. knife in hand, listening. At first, only crickets and water lapping the shore. Then, snap. A twig behind the tent. Another, closer. Too heavy for an animal. Who's there? I whispered. Silence. Then a low chuckle. Just checking on you, a voice said. My blood ran cold. One of the men from before. Get out of here, I yelled. I'm armed. Two voices laughed now. Armed like that other guy with the gun. Branches cracked as they retreated. Then, a splash. They'd pushed off. Or so I hoped. Sleep. Forget it. Every sound made me jump. Then, around 3 a.m., rustling again. Right by the tent. Something brushed the fabric. I bolted upright, slashed the knife through the air, shouting, back off. Silence. When I peeked out, they were gone. But near my kayak, a rock with a message scratched in the dirt, our spot next time. Scene 5, Escape and Aftermath. I didn't wait for sunrise. Packed everything in the dark, heart pounding. Paddled like hell for hours. When I hit the entry point, my arms burned, but I didn't stop. Back home, I looked it up. Turns out there'd been reports of armed squatters, poachers, even fugitives hiding in those woods. Campers threatened, camps vandalized. Some people never came back. I haven't gone solo since. The wilderness looks peaceful, but out there, it's easy for things to go wrong. Sometimes, the scariest thing isn't nature, it's the people hiding in it. Closing line for impact. So if you ever think about going alone, remember, you're never truly alone. Someone might be watching. They say the boundary waters in northern Minnesota are paradise for anyone who loves the outdoors. Miles of untouched lakes, pine forests whispering in the wind, loons calling at sunset. It's the kind of place where you go to escape everything. At least, that's what I thought. I'd had a rough year and needed quiet, no emails, no traffic, no people. Just me, my kayak, and the sound of water. So last summer, I packed light, tent, sleeping bag, some food, and my trusty folding knife. No phone signal out there, but that was the appeal. Early one morning, I slid my kayak into the glassy water. The first few hours were pure peace, paddling across small lakes, doing a couple of portages, listening to loons dive. By midday, I reached a bigger lake dotted with islands. My map showed a marked campsite tucked in a little bay. Perfect. As I neared the island, I spotted another canoe coming from the opposite direction. An old aluminum boat, weighed down with gear. The men inside looked weathered. Late 50s maybe. Scruffy beard, faded flannel, wide brim hat. I waved. Beautiful day, huh? He stopped paddling, let his canoe drift closer. His voice was rough, like he hadn't spoken in days. You heading to that site? Yeah, I said. Looks like a good one. He stared at me, face blank. That's my spot. Been coming here since I was a kid. My lake, really? I chuckled nervously. Well, first come, first served, right? Plenty of other sites around. He didn't laugh. Just stared. If I ever find someone on my site, I'd have to do something about it. Got a gun for that. I glanced at his waist, sure enough, a holster. Okay. Well, safe travels, I said, forcing a smile. Then I dug my paddle deep and didn't stop until I couldn't see him anymore. The campsite was beautiful, a little clearing under pines, a fire ring, a view across the water. I tried to shake off the encounter, told myself he was just some loner talking big. I pitched the tent, gathered wood, made a small fire. Sat on a log, sipping coffee, watching the lake glow orange in the setting sun. For a while, it felt almost normal again. Then I saw it, a canoe in the distance, moving toward me. My stomach tightened. Two guys this time. Mid-40s maybe. Rough looking. Their beat-up rental canoe held weird stuff. A wooden crate with chains rattling inside. An axe wedged on the side. No tents, no fishing rods. Just a couple of beer cans floating in the bottom. They pulled up like they owned the place. We need to camp here, the tall one said, stepping out without asking. Sorry, I said, trying to keep my voice calm. One group per site. Rules. The short one snorted, grabbed the crate, set it on the shore. Come on, man. Just for one night. Won't bother you. I'm asking you to leave, I said, gripping my paddle like a weapon. They exchanged a look, muttered curses, then shoved off. Your loss. Hope you freeze out here. I watched until they disappeared, my hands shaking. I doused the fire early, crawled into the tent, knife in hand. For hours, I lay there listening to every sound. Wind in the trees. Water lapping. Crickets. Then, a twig snapped. Heavy. Deliberate. Who's there? I whispered. Silence. Then a low chuckle, 20 feet away. Just checking on you, a voice said. My blood turned to ice. The tall one. Get out of here. I'm armed. I shouted. More laughter. Armed like that other guy with his gun. Footsteps circled the tent. Then faded. Then a splash, canoe pushing off. I didn't sleep. Every creak, every rustle made me flinch. At one point, something brushed against the tent wall. When I finally unzipped it, heart pounding, there was no one, just a rock by my kayak with words scratched in the dirt. Our spot next time. The second the sky turned gray, I packed. No breakfast. No coffee. Just shoved everything in the kayak and paddled like hell. Hours later, I hit the entry point, threw my gear in the car, and drove straight home, white-knuckled the whole way. That night, I looked up reports from the area. Turns out, there've been similar encounters. People vanishing. Chains used for illegal trapping, or worse. I haven't gone solo since. The boundary waters are beautiful. But out there alone, you realize how easy it is for things to go wrong. Not because of the wilderness. Because of the people hiding in it. They say the boundary waters in northern Minnesota are paradise for anyone who loves the outdoors. Miles of untouched lakes, pine forests whispering in the wind, loons calling at sunset. It's the kind of place where you go to escape everything. At least, that's what I thought. I'd had a rough year and needed quiet, no emails, no traffic, no people. Just me, my kayak, and the sound of water. So last summer, I packed light, tent, sleeping bag, some food, and my trusty folding knife. No phone signal out there, but that was the appeal. Early one morning, I slid my kayak into the glassy water. The first few hours were pure peace, paddling across small lakes, doing a couple of portages, listening to loons dive. By midday, I reached a bigger lake dotted with islands. My map showed a marked campsite tucked in a little bay. Perfect. As I neared the island, I spotted another canoe coming from the opposite direction. An old aluminum boat, weighed down with gear. The men inside looked weathered. Late 50s maybe. Scruffy beard, faded flannel, wide brim hat. I waved. Beautiful day, huh? He stopped paddling, let his canoe drift closer. His voice was rough, like he hadn't spoken in days. You heading to that site? Yeah, I said. Looks like a good one. He stared at me, face blank. That's my spot. Been coming here since I was a kid. My lake, really? I chuckled nervously. Well, first come, first served, right? Plenty of other sites around. He didn't laugh. Just stared. If I ever find someone on my site, I'd have to do something about it. Got a gun for that. I glanced at his waist, sure enough, a holster. Okay. Well, safe travels, I said, forcing a smile. Then I dug my paddle deep and didn't stop until I couldn't see him anymore. The campsite was beautiful, a little clearing under pines, a fire ring, a view across the water. I tried to shake off the encounter, told myself he was just some loner talking big. I pitched the tent, gathered wood, made a small fire. Sat on a log, sipping coffee, watching the lake glow orange in the setting sun. For a while, it felt almost normal again. Then I saw it, a canoe in the distance, moving toward me. My stomach tightened. Scene 4, the men with the crate. 2 guys this time. Mid-40s maybe. Rough looking. Their beat-up rental canoe held weird stuff. A wooden crate with chains rattling inside. An axe wedged on the side. No tents, no fishing rods. Just a couple of beer cans floating in the bottom. They pulled up like they owned the place. "We need to camp here," the tall one said, stepping out without asking. "Sorry," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. "One group per site. Rules." The short one snorted, grabbed the crate, set it on the shore. "Come on, man. Just for one night. Won't bother you." "I'm asking you to leave," I said, gripping my paddle like a weapon. They exchanged a look, muttered curses, then shoved off. "Your loss. Hope you freeze out here." I watched until they disappeared, my hands shaking. I doused the fire early, crawled into the tent, knife in hand. For hours, I lay there listening to every sound. Wind in the trees. Water lapping. Crickets. Then, a twig snapped. Heavy. Deliberate. "Who's there?" I whispered. Silence. Then a low chuckle, 20 feet away. "Just checking on you," a voice said. My blood turned to ice. The tall one. "Get out of here. I'm armed." I shouted. More laughter. "Armed like that other guy with his gun." Footsteps circled the tent. Then faded. Then a splash, canoe pushing off. I didn't sleep. Every creak, every rustle made me flinch. At one point, something brushed against the tent wall. When I finally unzipped it, heart pounding, there was no one, just a rock by my kayak with words scratched in the dirt. "Our spot next time." The second the sky turned gray, I packed. No breakfast. No coffee. Just shoved everything in the kayak and paddled like hell. Hours later, I hit the entry point, threw my gear in the car, and drove straight home, white-knuckled the whole way. That night, I looked up reports from the area. Turns out, there'd been similar encounters. People vanishing. Chains used for illegal trapping, or worse. I haven't gone solo since. The Boundary Waters are beautiful. But out there alone, you realize how easy it is for things to go wrong. Not because of the wilderness. Because of the people hiding in it. Last summer, I decided I needed a break from everything. No emails, no traffic, no people, just me and the wild. So, I planned a solo kayak trip into the Boundary Waters in Minnesota. I'd heard stories from friends, crystal clear lakes, endless forests, the kind of silence you can't find anywhere else. Exactly what I needed. I packed light, tent, sleeping bag, some food, my little stove, and of course, my folding knife, just in case. No cell service out there, but honestly, that was part of the appeal. The first day started perfectly. I launched early, the lake like glass under my kayak. A loon called in the distance. After a couple of portages and smaller lakes, I hit a big one by noon. My map showed an island campsite tucked away in a quiet bay. Perfect spot. As I paddled closer, I noticed another canoe coming in from the other side. Old aluminum boat, stacked with gear, and in it, an older guy, scruffy beard, faded flannel, wide brim hat. He drifted close, and I gave a friendly wave. "Hey! How's the water treating you?" I called out. He slowed, voice rough, like he hadn't talked in days. "Not bad," he said. Then his eyes narrowed. "You heading to that spot?" He nodded toward the island. "Yeah," I said. "Looks like a good one." He stared at me, dead serious. "That's my site. Been coming here since I was a kid." "My lake, really?" I laughed a little, thinking he was joking. "Well, first come, first served, right?" His face didn't change. "If I ever find someone on my site," he said slowly, "I'd have to do something about it. Got a gun for that. Can't have people taking what's mine." My smile froze. I glanced at his waist, sure enough, big holster, big gun. My stomach dropped. Okay. "Well, safe travels," I muttered, and paddled hard. Didn't stop until I reached the island and pulled my kayak up the gravel shore. The place was beautiful, pines all around, fire ring ready to go, but my mind was spinning. Who says that to a stranger? I pitched my tent, gathered wood, made a small fire. No sign of the guy. Good. I started to relax, until another canoe appeared from the far side of the lake. 2 guys this time, maybe mid-40s. They pulled right up, no life jackets, just a beat-up rental with some weird stuff inside, a wooden crate with chains rattling, an axe jammed in the side. No tents. No fishing rods. Just beer cans and silence. "We need to camp here," the tall one said, stepping out without asking. "Couldn't find anything else open. You mind sharing?" "Actually, yeah, I do," I said, trying to keep calm. 1 group per site. Rules. "Come on, man," the short one said, hauling the crate out. "Just one night." "No," I said firmly. "Find another spot." They exchanged a look, muttered something under their breath, and finally shoved off, cursing loud enough for me to hear. That night, I didn't sleep much. Around midnight, I heard footsteps, slow, careful, behind my tent. Then a voice, "Just checking on you." It was them. Whispering. Laughing. Then, footsteps circling, something brushing the tent fabric. I yelled out, "I'm armed," even though I only had my knife. They laughed. Then silence. Hours dragged. Every sound made my heart race. At one point, I unzipped the tent just enough to peek out. And that's when I saw it, a rock by my kayak with words scratched in the dirt, "Our spot next time." I didn't wait for dawn. As soon as the sky lightened, I packed everything in minutes and paddled like hell. Didn't look back until I hit the entry point. Back home, I looked up reports from that area. Turns out, I'm not the only one. People disappearing. Run-ins with armed squatters, drifters, even ex-cons hiding out. Some campers reported guys trying to force them to share sites. Others never came back. I still love the water. But I haven't gone solo since. Because out there, it's not the bears or the wolves you need to worry about. It's the people. Last summer, I needed to clear my head. Life was stressful, and I thought a solo trip into the Boundary Waters in Minnesota would be the perfect escape. Remote lakes, endless pine trees, no cell service. Just peace. I packed light, tent, sleeping bag, a little food, a small stove, and my folding knife, just in case. Slid my kayak into the water at dawn, and started paddling. For the first few hours, it was beautiful. Calm water, loons calling in the distance, and the occasional splash of a fish. By midday, I reached a larger lake dotted with islands. I aimed for one with a marked campsite. Looked perfect, tucked away, surrounded by tall pines. That's when I saw him. An older guy in an old aluminum canoe, loaded with gear. He wore a faded flannel shirt, a wide-brimmed hat, and had this scruffy gray beard. Looked like he'd been out there for weeks. I waved as our paths crossed. "Hey. How's the water treating you?" He stopped paddling and let his canoe drift closer. His voice was rough, like he hadn't spoken in days. "Not bad," he said. Then he nodded toward the island. "You heading to that spot?" "Yeah," I replied, trying to sound friendly. "Looks like a good one." His eyes narrowed. "That's my site. Been coming here since I was a kid." "My lake, really?" I chuckled nervously. Thought he was joking. "Well, first come, first served, right? Plenty of spots around." He didn't laugh. Didn't even smile. Just stared at me for a long moment and said, flat as a board, "If I ever find someone on my site, I'd have to do something about it. Got a gun for that. Can't have people taking what's mine." My laugh died in my throat. I glanced at his waist. Sure enough, there was a handgun in a holster. Okay. "Well, safe travels," I said, and dug my paddle in hard. Didn't stop until I was way past that island. I told myself he was just some old guy talking big, but my hands shook the whole time I pitched my tent on another island. Later, while making a small fire, I spotted another canoe, 2 men this time. Mid-40s, tough-looking. No life jackets, no camping gear. Just a wooden crate with chains rattling inside, and an axe wedged in the side of their canoe. They beached right next to me. "We need to camp here," the tall one said. "Sorry," I replied, forcing a smile. 1 group per site. Rules. Come on, man, the shorter one said, setting the crate on the shore. It's getting dark. Just for one night. I backed up, keeping the fire between us. No, really. I'm not comfortable with that. The tall one crossed his arms. You gonna make this hard? My grip tightened on the paddle. I'm asking you to leave. Now. They exchanged a look. Then the short one muttered something under his breath. They shoved the crate back in, pushed off, and paddled away. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. Around midnight, I woke to the sound of footsteps in the woods behind my tent. Slow. Deliberate. I grabbed my knife and whispered. Who's there? A low chuckle answered me from the dark. Just checking on you. Thought you might change your mind about sharing. It was them. Get out of here. I shouted. I'm armed. Two voices laughed this time. Armed like that other guy with his gun, one of them said. Branches cracked as they retreated. I heard a splash as their canoe pushed off. I sat there shaking, knife in hand, listening for hours. But they weren't done. Around 3 a.m, something brushed against my tent. Then, silence. When I unzipped the flap and shined my light, there was no one. Just a rock near my kayak with a note scratched in the dirt. Our sight next time. I packed up at dawn and paddled like hell. Didn't stop until I reached the entry point hours later. Back home, I searched online. Turns out there are stories of poachers and drifters out there. Some campers reported run-ins with armed men claiming sights. One even mentioned crates with chains, illegal trapping. I don't know what their plan was, but I know one thing, I've never gone solo again. The water out there is beautiful, peaceful. But when you're alone, it doesn't take much for things to go wrong. And if you ever find yourself in the boundary waters, just remember, you're never as alone as you think.